Well, hello, everyone. My name is Tom Wilson. I work for Netstock, and I am a solution consultant for Netstock, and we are a software development company. And all we do is inventory planning and supply chain optimization. And we are a addition to the acumatica ERP solution. And it is my pleasure to talk to you about Netstock today. Hey, just a couple of housekeeping units. First of all, I want to apologize. My background, it looks like I'm in a closet because I am. We're doing some work on our house, and it's the quietest room in the house. So I apologize for that up front. Um, Also, in the upper right corner, you'll see where it says poll. I'm going to talk to a couple of slides, and I'm going to stop for a few minutes and ask everyone to hit the poll button. And if you take just a couple of questions, we'd love to hear from you. But what I'd like to do today is we're going to talk about Netstock. And I'm going to very quickly do a refresh of what are the inventory challenges that some of our customers are facing and why they need a tool like Netstock. But then we're going to focus today on some new functionality that was just introduced by Netstock. The first is our executive dashboard. Now, this is a tool that will help you do strategic planning. It's going to not just look at where you have problems, but it's going to then map those problems over time and show you your performance and how you've been improving over time. The second is we're very excited about it. It's our first entry into artificial intelligence. And this will not only help you identify where you have problems, but recommend solutions to those problems. And I'll showcase that in the software. And then finally, we have an additional or optional forecasting engine. In inventory planning, one of the fundamental tenets is it's pretty hard to determine what your stocking levels should be unless you can generate a forecast. And we have a very robust forecast engine in the planning tool. But we've added an additional engine that has more advanced capabilities, and we'll showcase that in the software as well. So let's start with just a quick refresh on why you might need a planning tool. What are some of the challenges with planning inventory? And when we talk to most of our customers, here are kind of the things we typically hear often. The first is, hey, we tend to run out of stock. We didn't plan for enough. We've stocked out. We don't have any inventory on the shelves. And that can result in poor customer service and lost sales. On the extreme opposite end of that, we have the opposite problem. Our customers have told us that they tend to overstock, overbuy, and end up with excess inventory and money tied up in working capital. And in a time where it's hard to get credit, uh, it is essential that you make sure that you squeeze every nickel out of your business that you can. And if you can eliminate that money tied up in excess inventory, it is just a huge benefit. And then finally, planners spend way too much time trying to figure out what the right inventory stocking levels are. They tend to plan in a spreadsheet. You have to download data from an ERP into a spreadsheet, figuring out what forecasting algorithms you want to use, and it is a daunting task, and it's rife with errors, and they spend way too much time on that process. And then finally, as I mentioned, it's pretty hard to recommend what your stocking levels should be unless you can project or forecast your demand. Very hard to do in a spreadsheet. This will do it automatically with world-class forecasting engine. And so if you look at that problem and you look at the different stakeholders in a company, sales, they want to solve that problem by having lots and lots of inventory. I don't ever want to run out of an item so that I can fulfill every order, in which case that tends to drive that excess inventory. Finance, on the other hand, is looking to keep that inventory down, improve stock turns, make sure that you don't have any excess inventory. And operations is kind of stuck in the middle trying to figure out how do we balance between both of those. And that's what Netstock brings to the table. We are going to show you what your current inventory is, recommend what it should be, so that you have enough inventory to satisfy sales, but you don't have so much inventory that finance is dealing with that excess inventory. And then we're saving a ton of time for operations. So let me pause here for just a moment. And if you could hit that poll button on the upper side of your screen, we would love to hear from you. We'd love to hear if you're having any of these challenges and if you'd like to hear from Netstock. So let me just give it about 30 seconds so that we can take a chance to see that poll. All right. So thank you, everyone, for those that took the opportunity to hit that poll. We certainly appreciate it. So how do we deal with this? So Netstock, again, we are a planning tool. We get all of our data as input from your ERP. We will pull that into a planning engine, which will then go through a series of analytics and calculations to recommend what your stocking levels should be. And so it is deployed as a cloud delivered service. So when you log in to our Netstock solution, you are always on our most current release. So if we come up with a new feature, a new function, it's immediately available to you. And so I am showing you a live instance of our Netstock solution. Now, I've logged into the opening screen. It is what is called a dashboard. And a dashboard is a high-level summary. It is a summary of all the inventory at this stocking location. Now, you can have one or many stocking locations. You can plan each separately, or they can have dependencies on each other, but we will show you what inventory is in each location. And the dashboard, it is a very tactical view of your inventory. It shows you what your current inventory is now and where you might have problems. So it's going to show you, for instance, in my demo database, in my Los Angeles stocking location, we're carrying $10 million of inventory. We're recommending you should be carrying 4.9. I can see how my inventory has been trending over time. You have some excess stock. In fact, you have 2,000 items in excess that's costing you $3.6 million in excess inventory. You have some orders that you don't need that are going to exacerbate that excess problem. You also have some items that you're currently out of. You have none in stock that could impact customer service and sales. In fact, these are items that you don't have any inventory. You can't fulfill your demand, and until you replenish, we're identifying how much sales you're putting at risk. And then finally, here are some items that you are about to run out of. You haven't run out yet, but you're probably going to run out. So this is just a very tactical snapshot of what your current inventory is, where you have problems, and I can click on an item and it's going to take me to detail that'll help me solve those problems. But again, this is a very tactical look at the data. What we want to do is we want to step back. And if you notice on my menu bar on the left, we've got several items, and two of the items are brand new. Executive Dashboard and Opportunities were literally not there as menu options 2 months ago. The first Executive Dashboard, this is a new feature that we've just come out with. It's immediately available to all of our customers. And it's going to, instead of looking at a tactical view, it's going to look at a more strategic view. So let's click on the Executive Dashboard. And what that is going to do is that's going to take me to a more performance-based view. I can see how my inventory has been trending over time. I can look at it over 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. And just as an example, here is over all my stocking locations, what my current inventory is. But notice where it says inventory value. And if I hover where I have my purple and my gray bars, the purple bar is showing what my average inventory is and how that average inventory has been trending quarter to quarter to quarter. And it's showing me what my recommended or model inventory is across all my stocking locations. And if you notice, I've got quite a bit more inventory than we're recommending. And that has been true quarter over quarter. In fact, we've been growing that. So what this is telling me, and if I move over, it's showing how my excess has been growing. This shows that the performance over time for all of my inventory is tend to be growing my excess inventory. I have way more than I need. And on the other hand, if I hover, I've got some items that I'm not meeting my target fill rates. I don't have enough inventory in other areas. And here are some areas where I need to increase my inventory. So right now, this is telling me I historically have a balance problem. I tend to be overstocking in some areas. I tend to be understocking in others. And then I can use that tactical view to start to drill down into the individual contributors that need my attention. But strategically, this is how I've been performing over time. And I'm going to go to another screen, and it's going to show me more of a sales view. And so now I can see, because we capture all of this data from your ERP, I can see how I've been selling against my cost of sales. What are my top grossing margins? And so for here, this is just a snapshot of which of my items across all my locations are my top sellers, which are my items that are generating the top gross margins. So this is again, a snapshot, more of a performance-based view. So more of a strategic view. So this is just another way to look at the data, but this is something our customers have asked for. We developed it and we immediately rolled it out. And so now if I go back to the dashboard, again, the standard dashboard is a very tactical view. And so what I'm seeing is these are the items that have issues or problems. So for an example, excess stock. I've got 2,200 items that are in excess. It's costing me 3.6 million. Here are the 5 items that are costing you the most. So I can kind of focus on which items are in excess, which items have the biggest impact to my business. From here, I can drill into information and I can start to formulate where I have problems, what I might need to do to fix it. But the key is I've got to drill down, I've got to do some assessment, and I've got to figure out what I should be doing. And so the next thing that we've rolled out is our first entry into artificial intelligence. And what that's going to do is it's going to really take all of these items that need attention. It's going to focus my attention to the ones that have the most impact to my business. And it's going to help me and suggest to me what I might want to do about it. And so if I click on the opportunities button, and again, that was a menu item that was not there 2 months ago, it is going to take me to the artificial engine. And when I click on it, it's going to show me my Netstock AI or Netstock Artificial Intelligence. And out of all those items that were on the dashboard, it is focusing my attention on 22 of them. And if I hit this show me button, that is going to generate a chat GBT look and feel. So for instance, this item, I said I have found 238 units of this SKU in Los Angeles. And right now, those are surplus to the requirements. So I've got more of this item in Los Angeles than I need. But that same item, I am showing that I've got some shortfall of 182 units in Chicago. And so it's showing me that, hey, I've got some surplus orders in Los Angeles, but here is a great place. Here's something I should do with those. I might want to move those orders or move some inventory from Los Angeles to Chicago. So it's giving me not only what items are critical to the business, but it's giving me some suggestions on what might want to do. And if I hit this show me more button, it's going to then continue to show me more opportunities. So let's just look at this bottom one. So here is another example of I've got some excess at one location, but I've got a shortfall at another, and it's giving me some pretty good suggestions on what I might want to do, how I can rebalance that inventory to move some excess from one location to another location. But the short story is this is our first entrance into artificial intelligence. It is going to not only show me where I have problems, but take it a step deeper and give me some recommendations on what I might want to do to fix it. And so we've got a lot of great feedback from our customers. If you notice, it has this little useful button. I can click on that, and that's going to then train the system for what is useful to me, and it's going to then allow that to continue to look at those kinds of problems and bring those to my attention. So the executive dashboard and the opportunities, again, those are new functionality to the Netstock planning tool immediately available to our customers. So I have now pulled up an individual item, and we're going to talk a little bit about forecasting. So out of the box, our standard Netstock forecasting engine is over here on the right, and it is a very good forecast engine. There's a couple of analogies I like to use for those of you that might be interested in golf. The analogy I like to use is most mid-handicap golfers like to use what's called a game improvement club. It helps the average golfer hit the ball straighter. And that's exactly what our standard forecasting engine does. It's going to take all the heavy lifting out of doing a forecast. It's going to automatically load the sales history. It's going to analyze that sales history. It's going to assess that sales history, pick the forecasting model that is the best fit, and use it to create a computer-generated forecast for the next 12 months. That is a daunting task to try to do in a spreadsheet. But like a game improvement club, this is going to help me do all of that heavy lifting automatically. But many, many golfers are looking for what they call a workability club, something that a more advanced golfer can use to be able to position the ball right or left or put different kinds of spin on it. In other words, they're looking for a more advanced set of golf clubs. And that's exactly what we've just introduced. We now have a optional forecast engine upgrade. We call it pivot forecasting. And what pivot forecasting is going to allow me to do is it's going to allow me to have influence over the selection of the forecast model. So it certainly has an expert model that will pick the one that is the best fit. But if I don't like that, or if I want to override that or introduce a different forecast model, I certainly can. The standard forecast engine generates a forecast in 12-month periods, period. I can't do a weekly forecast. If I want to forecast for 36 months, I can't. The pivot forecast engine will allow me to forecast beyond 12 months, 36, 24, 48 months. And if I'd prefer to forecast in weekly phases, I can do that as well. So different forecast buckets, longer time periods. But probably the biggest reasons our customers are looking to go to the pivot forecasting model is the standard forecast engine is a total forecast across all of the demand on this SKU. In other words, here is all the sales history from all the customers that are using this item, and here is the total demand placed on this item. Many of our customers want to take that forecast and break it up into smaller, more granular buckets. So think customer as an example. Hey, I want to see what demand Walmart is placing on this SKU. I want to see what demand Costco is placing on this SKU. I want to change the demand for Costco because they're running a promotion, but I don't want that to impact the forecast that I've already set up for Walmart. So I will be able to take this and break it into more granular levels. And so the look and feel is going to be exactly the same because in the planning tool, I need a forecast to generate my inventory stocking recommendations. But if I can have a more accurate, more advanced forecast, that's only going to give me more accurate forecast recommendations to drive my stocking levels. So if I upgrade to the more advanced pivot forecast engine, this look is going to be exactly the same. But what you're going to see is this will say pivot forecasting. And then when I go into the forecast, I'll see all of those advanced features. So let's show you that. So let me show you what under the hood the pivot forecast engine looks like. And if you notice here on the left, I now have the ability to select lots of different attributes. Yes, I can certainly forecast at the item level, which is the only level you can forecast in the standard model. So I can go in and I can look at an item, I can change the forecast for that item. But I've added a couple of additional attributes. I want to break it out by category. And in the example I'm showing you here, this is an appliance example. I sell appliances. I sell backyard barbecues, which is a group of items. I sell cooktops. I sell ovens, ranges, and ventilation hoods. So I've broken it out by category. But I sell those categories, which has unique SKUs, to lots of different customers. So I have a customer called Better Buys. I have a customer called Direct Living. Direct Living sells all of my different categories. And within those categories, here are the SKUs that Direct Living purchases. So with this, I can break it up into smaller attributes. I can change the forecast across every item in Direct Living. I can change the forecast for all of the SKUs that are in the category barbecue. I could change the forecast for just one of those SKUs. If I change the SKU for just this item, it will be a bottom up forecast that impacts my barbecue category, impacts Direct Living, but doesn't touch anything that's happening at my other customer Better Buys. So I can change the forecast for one of these items. That doesn't have any impact on the other categories, or in this case, the other customers. So I can change the forecasts at lots of different levels. But I can also look at, so if we select, so Direct Living, notice that one of the things I can do is I can select the expert model. And expert selected a level trend seasonal forecasting model. So we certainly can let the system pick the best forecasting model. And it's got machine learning. It's going to go in and do an excruciating level of analysis to figure out which is the forecasting model that's the best fit. And it's got many, many, many more to choose from than the standard model. In this case, it picked a level seasonal trend. But if I want to override that, I certainly can. I can click on where it says expert. I can see all of the different forecasting models that I want to potentially override, and I can select which ones I want to use. So I can then let the expert pick the model. I can override or change it. It's not something I can do in the standard forecast model. But at the end of the day, this is going to allow a planner to get in and do more in-depth analysis of the forecast. And at the end of the day, that should improve forecast accuracy, which will then feed back to the planning engine and give you even more accurate stocking recommendations. So again, back to here, it'll look exactly the same. I will now have a forecast that's based on a little deeper dive analysis that will then feed the rest of the forecast engine. So what does this do? At the end of the day, this is going to increase your visibility. This is going to help you identify what your current inventory is, recommend what it should be. It's going to improve your fill rate, which is when I need an item, I've already anticipated it and have it in stock. And roughly 15% of our customers tell us that of their, or I should say, our customers tell us that of their existing inventory, 15% is in some kind of a stocked out status. 35% is in some kind of an excess or status where I have more inventory than I need and I have money tied up in working capital. Up to 70% of our planners have told us that they spend 70% of their time trying to figure out what the right stocking level should be. And so if I can eliminate the time I spend with spreadsheets, if I can remove that excess inventory, and if I can eliminate that excess inventory, the ROI on this just can be off the charts. And again, we have two very, very sophisticated planning engines, one even giving me more capabilities if I need that level of detail. And just kind of as an example, here is just one customer that have said, hey, I was able to reduce my overall excess inventory by 35% and improve our fill rate by 3%. So I was able to get rid of that inventory that I had too much of and start to eliminate the items that I didn't have enough of. So that we're right at the top of the hour. So I'd like to stop. I'd like to thank you for your time. And for those of you that did the poll question, I really appreciate that. And we'll take advantage of those poll questions, and that'll help us plan uh, next steps. And we'd be delighted to work with you further. But thank you. I'm going to go ahead and stop now. But thank you for your time today. We really appreciate it.